Hello and very warm welcome to the Arise interview, 60 minutes of big questions about the big stories from the news and beyond with fresh insight and critical analysis. I am Christian Ogdo. Thanks for joining us, and we're live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Coming up in the next hour, Nigeria's political elite and fighting it out for the control of Edo State. The governorship election in the state is due on September 19th, 2020. And it is crystal clear that the battle in Edo State is between Governor Godwin Obaseki and his erstwhile political godfather, Adams Oshiomhole, the ousted former national chairman of the APC, who is vigorously supporting Pastor Ize-iyamu. Now, campaigns are on, even as the elections draw near. Heavy politicking is ongoing in the state. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly has been impeached on the grounds of alleged misconduct. Meanwhile, fresh plans to impeach incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy, Shaibu, were foiled. The crisis took another turn after the governor's loyalists stormed the premises of the Assembly's complex in protest of a forceful takeover by security agencies. With all these tensions, the Independent National Electoral Commission is meeting over security threats in the Edo State gubernatorial election. The dynamics of Edo State politics coming up in a moment. And to forestall the impeachment move by the All Progressives Congress and the reported invasion of the Edo State House of Assembly, the state governor, Godwin Obaseki, has ordered the immediate removal of the roof of the House of Assembly complex for renovation. The governor also ordered the heaping of sands at the front of the Edo State House of Assembly complex to further forestall the forceful takeover by security agencies. Several artisans were seen going about the renovation works, which is currently ongoing. The development is coming a day after the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Yakini Idiaye, was impeached reportedly by 7 lawmakers loyal to the state governor for pleading loyalty to the APC and Ize-iyamu's gubernatorial candidacy. We're also hearing that the Speaker of the House of Assembly, that is Edo State House of Assembly, has been allegedly impeached. Before we speak to our guest, here is PDP's reaction to the invasion of Edo State House of Assembly by security agencies.
It proceeds that the invasion and illegal occupation of the state legislature by security agents allegedly deployed by sacked national chairman of APC, Adams Oshiomhole, is a direct coup against the democratic order of Edo State and a recipe for anarchy, chaos, and bloodletting. Our party has been informed that the plot is to use the illegal security operation to seize the processes of the House of Assembly and illegally inaugurate certain individuals whose seats have been lawfully declared vacant, with plans to use them to pull down the democratic structure of the state. The PDP has also been made aware of grand plots by Oshiomhole, working in collaboration with the impeached Deputy Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, to import a fake mace, cause anarchy, and then push for the imposition of a state of emergency in Edo State, saying that they cannot win the forthcoming governorship election. Our party therefore charges the Inspector General of Police to wade in and immediately withdraw the illegally deployed security officers and protect democracy as well as the peace and orderliness in Edo State. The police hierarchy is urged to note that this provocative and lawless act by the APC is part of its plans to overheat the polity, create a security situation with a view to unleash violence.
At the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party there, Kola Ologbodiyan, reacting to the said invasion of the Edo State House of Assembly. Well, let's inform you, Arise News is live in the governor's office, the governor of Edo State, who during the course of this program is going to be addressing a world press conference to bring the nation up to date about the happenings in Edo State, and we'll be taking that, we'll be crossing live as soon as that presser begins. But for more on this, right here in the studio, I've now been joined by Barrister Daniel Bwala, who is a lawyer and a member of the All Progressives Congress. Daniel, very warm welcome. These are not the best of times for Edo Politics, nay Nigeria. Edo State seems to be on tentacles with the way the politics is going on there.
Right. Thank you for having me. It is quite intriguing in the sense that the governor of the state is making the whole situation seem like Edo State is like Iraq during this Iraq war. But in actual fact, if you look at like calling the attention of a critical thinker, an unbiased thinker, you cast your mind back to when the House of Assembly of Edo State was quote-unquote constituted. The governor noticed that he didn't have the majority. He wanted what is not provided for in our constitution. I don't know where he wanted to secure the kind of loyalty that is different from what the constitution and the law of the land states, where individuals who are elected by their constituents, when they come together, they are going to be inaugurated. Inauguration, as provided by law, is not subject to the whims and caprices of the governor.
And the All Progressives Congress had to invade the State House of Assembly with the support of security agencies to forcefully change the leadership of the House in Edo State.
Oh, that's your assertion?
No, not my assertion. That is what is
that the
in the public space now. Yeah.
I expect that journalists will do investigative journalism. It is right if you say allegedly, but to say all progressive in conjunction with the security, when in your introduction you make it clear that in a bid to forestall what the governor felt was like takeover of the House of Assembly to impeach him, he personally gave directive, like the pouring of the sand, the blocking,
yes, because
the removing of the roof.
Agencies had surrounded the building, so it's still the same course of line.
No, I do not agree, for the records, that APC went there to impeach him. One, I do not agree, two, that the law enforcement are there to remove him. Because if conversely, when he stopped or refused to inaugurate this member, recall when he inaugurated his quote-unquote members, it was in the dead of the night. Some of the members were even wearing short knicker. And he called that constitution. He called that proper. And he ran the state illegally.
Have we not seen that before during the times of the former national chairman of the APC, Adams Oshiomhole, when he was the governor of the state?
This is not the facting issue. That is a destructive strategy by the party. What we are talking in question is Obaseki and his government. He ran the state illegally in the sense that, you see, you know that in this government, in the 8th Assembly, when the leadership of the Senate and the House of Reps changed their party to PDP, there was never any fracas. You recall even when the allegation that there was a mastermind plan to remove the Senate president, you see the kind of harsh decision that government took. Because in a democratic society, constitutional democracy, you have the executive branch, legislative branch, and the judiciary. And you can never claim to run a democracy if any of these branches are crippled. The governor ran a state without the legislative branch. Now, as politics of election is coming close, every single day in the news media, and your station has reported, how that people are leaving him, people appointed by his government, people that is seeking to win, he's losing popularity by the day and with the speed of light. So he now felt the next thing he would do is to take the laws again. Remember, in your reporting, he asked the deputy speaker, no brouhaha, no critiquing, no criticism, no interrogation. It was right, even though it was illegal. He didn't have the numbers. But today, because the speaker was impeached, then it has now become an issue of whether there is a proper constitution, whether there was a proper procedure. And in any case...
How was the speaker impeached?
The news breaking at the moment is that the speaker was impeached by the majority of 18 members against 6.
In the House of Assembly?
In the House of Assembly. Now, your question might be the venue, right? The mace is the symbol of authority of any
not the building.
Parliamentary system, not the building. Anywhere, it's in international best practices, parliamentary procedure. And so you can carry the mace and go to the toilet. If the toilet is large enough to hold members, you can run proceedings there. It is like Air Force One. It doesn't matter the type of the plane. Any plane that the President of the United States flies in becomes Air Force One. And that is the symbol. Now, secondly, where there is a chaotic disorder, like in this case, where you have talks around the building, where you have law enforcement that cordon it, where you have a government that is, quote unquote, running a construction at the moment, the only right thing to do will be to move to a location where you can then perform your constitutional duty. The speaker has been impeached, and the governor does not have a footing. The governor is trying to woo sentiment, steer the emotions of the people.
Is this an auspicious time to do all this? The elections is just a little over a month away.
Right.
Why aren't the parties, giving the people, the electorate, the choice, the chance to make their choice? Why the, brouhaha in the politicking here?
So I guess that any party who thinks he's losing out, as in this case is the governor, because Ize-iyamu is not losing anything. Every day, this is not what I am saying. You are all reporting. Every day you see the kind of movement he's getting in the city. So as the governor is losing out, there's what in law we call a dying declaration. As he sees that he's losing, these are the things he will then hold on. If he has his chance, he will even create a crisis that will usurp the idea of election taking place, so that he will be able to stay in power illegally. Now, just 2 days ago, about a day ago, he impeached the deputy speaker by using illegal and unconstitutional means of impeachment. Was there a news media that criticized him for that when he didn't have the numbers, when there was no constitution of the members of the party? And today, when the majority of the people wanted to sit and run proceedings, then he decided to take illegal steps. Because even the bid to cause obstruction, even the plan to stop the constitutional gathering of lawmakers to perform their duties as provided for by the Constitution is in itself illegal. I don't know how in the world the law enforcement in the first place permitted the governor to send in people to be removing the roof for construction. So there was no need for reconstruction of the building until when there is a need to sit and impeach the speaker. There was no need for the removal of the roof when he impeached the deputy speaker. He has been running, and you remember the other time when the former national chairman was going to go to Benin, and he said the man has to take clearance from him before he will come to Benin. Freedom of association as enshrined in the Constitution. Do you know how many times PDP members have casted aspersion on the person of the president? You recall in this same government, there was a time they were even parading the news that the president is dead. He was no longer alive. At some point, they say he was on life-saving machine. The president never joined issues with them to the point of using the machinery of the state against the people. Democracy thrives when there is a rule of law, when both players in the party observe the rules of engagement. What are the rules of engagement, like you rightly said? Engage with the electorate. They are the ones that will legitimize your government, or they are the ones that will delegitimize your government. And as the election is coming close, one would have thought the governor is at a vantage point ordinarily, because you are the executive governor, you have instrument of the state to spread your news, but he's losing.
Okay, we're going to interrogate that more, and the state of emergency that they say is being pushed to be declared in Edo State. That's when we return from the break. You're still watching the Arise interview. We've got more still ahead. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the Arise interview with me, Christian Ogdowo, live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I still have with me a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Daniel Bwala, but just to remind you again that as soon as we start receiving signals from the Edo State capital in Benin, we'll be crossing live to join His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, who will be addressing a world press conference on the ongoing political crisis in the state. But meanwhile, a new speaker is alleged to have emerged in the Edo State House of Assembly, and his name is Victor Edoro. I think we have some of that video where the speaker, the new speaker, was elected. Let's see if we have it now on screen.
That this assembly is not in any way out for impeachment of any executive member of this government. Instead, we are out to bring a better legislation for the people of Edo State to complement the executive capabilities of the state. We are not here to impeach anybody as tender in the public space. I want to encourage the people of Edo State for peaceful coexistence in these states. And with regard today, the Edo State House of Assembly complex was invaded by hoodlums. I am using this opportunity to call on the Inspector General Police, to call on the CP Edo State to, without fail, make the Edo State House of Assembly ready without hoodlums tomorrow morning.
Well, that's the inaugural speech of the new speaker, alleged new speaker of Edo State House of Assembly, Victor Edoro. Bwala, let me turn to you. You, apart from being a politician, you are a lawyer.
Right.
I didn't see any maze there. Where is the legality and the instrument of power?
So the problem, I think, is with your cameraman, because if you see from the pictures, they only featured his face and the book or whatever it is that is in front of him. You know,
we're looking. Look, Bwala, look very well, and you would say that there is no maze anywhere.
This was not the swearing in. This is the speech.
Yeah. They're conducting a parliamentary session.
Can you expand your video, please?
They're in session, right?
Okay, expand.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Can they carefully move around, expand it? Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Go on.
Right?
Go on.
Carefully.
Yeah.
Did you see the frontage there? Mm-hmm. That is blocked by this cameraman.
Go on.
You can rewind back again.
No, just go on.
So now, in parliamentary procedure, there is supposed to be a mace. The mace is not going to be on the head of the speaker or whoever that is announcing. It's going to be positioned like you know in the National Assembly, where you position it in its rightful place. So unless the camera people are able to go to that position where it is supposed to be focused on, we cannot tell at the moment. But I know for a fact that they had the mace, and the mace is the symbol of authority. And secondly, I want to congratulate the speaker for a successful election into this office that is duly carried out in accordance with the law, because 18 lawmakers voted out of 24. You know it's 24.
But the Edo State House of Assembly more than a year ago or so declared their seats vacant. Are you aware of that?
Who declared seats vacant?
The speaker.
The people of Obaseki declared the seats of the lawmakers he was hunting as vacant. The point is, does he have the legal authority in accordance with the law to declare a seat vacant? I don't know if he has lawyers. I don't know if he has people advising him. But the governor, the president, does not have the power to declare a seat in the National Assembly as vacant. It is the head of that National Assembly. In the case of House of Assembly of a state, it is the speaker. And the speaker will have to follow due procedure. In this case, they were locked out. In this case, they were being haunted. And so there is no justification in whichever way, shape, and form you try to analyze the activities of the House of Assembly in the past 1 year that the governor was running the state illegally. Democracy is the vote of the majority. It's about majority. Minority will have their say, but majority will have their way. That is the law. And sometimes minority might have a very strong point, so to speak, but it is the majority that will rule. In this case, the governor, right from the beginning, did not have the majority. So he used the machinery of the state in the first place.
That's not a novelty, is it?
In
Edo State is not a novelty.
I agree.
Because we've seen it before.
But he has been preaching, lately, he's been preaching as himself as the governor of law and order, as the governor of rule of law, as the governor of due process. So once somebody brings his character to issue, the evidence of his bad character becomes admissible in the discussion. So had it been the governor is not talking about him, if he has the freedom to come and say, I'm a thug, or I'm this, I'm bad, don't look at me as a good person. And so whatever he does or he leads to do, we would not take it. But you cannot be talking to the electorate as a governor that is bringing order, democracy, good governance to the people, and you are perpetrating violence in the state. We are in our law, constitution or the bylaw of any state organization, where the executive branch has the power to interfere in the activities of the legislative branch. What he is doing, who ordered the security men over there? Who ordered the deposition or the deposit of the stand over there? It's the executive. What is his business with the activities of the legislative branch? If he agreed, or let's assume he believed that the impeachment of the deputy speaker was in order, how did they meet? And what makes him think that there will not be another sitting like the way there was that sitting in which that one was impeached, to impeach the speaker?
This is a great crisis that is beginning to unfold.
Right.
And the PDP, is alleging, rightly or wrongly, that this is a prelude, one, to either impeach the governor, Godwin Obaseki, or use its national influence as the government in power for the president to declare a state of emergency in Edo State, making it look as if the state is ungovernable.
We've seen the movie before. I remember when Governor Wike, that time he had problems in his state, they said the same thing. It is in the character and characteristics of PDP. PDP is known and rooted in this kind of, what do you call it, propaganda. And the whole idea is so they can woo public sentiment. But we are moved by the facts that we see.
I thought the APC rode on that, to power. Great propagandists.
Give me an example. I don't think so.
Okay, go on.
What APC rode on was facts against facts during the Jonathan era. They brought in fact there was insecurity in the land, and you did not achieve the problem by first admitting.
Has it changed now?
Things change.
Is the situation of insecurity, has it changed with the APC government?
Is it in comparison now or where we are?
As insecure, can Nigerians really sleep with their eyes closed from the northeast to the northwest to the north central, even to the southern part
obviously
of the
there's
country?
insecurity, but are you saying in comparison? Because there are two contexts. There is insecurity in the land. It's a growing challenge.
What figures do you have to compare?
No.
What figures?
Facts.
What
It doesn't have to
facts?
be good. So if you permit me to answer, I will then answer. During Jonathan, count the number of local government that were taken over by the insurgents. Right now, it is not the same. So facts against facts. During Jonathan, when the Chibok girls were abducted, he refused to admit. In this government, every adoption is admitted. Regrettably, like I have an issue with even my government not taking the decision in rejigging security architecture. So I'm not about to come and sit here and tell you that there is no insecurity. But whenever you bring it in context and you say we are to compare, by law of comparison, you don't compare them because they are not apples and apples. You are comparing different scenario here. But back to Edo. The governor is fomenting the crisis because he's losing popularity. And the governor is hoping to reap from that by blackmailing the federal government. Now, if it were in the days of PDP in Obasanjo era, the governor by now would have been impeached. You know that. But have you heard any federal intervention in the matter?
Okay, you continue on that line of thought when we return. We want to take some messages again.
Right.
You're still watching the Arise interview. We've got more still ahead. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the Arise interview. My name is Christian Ogdo. We're live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Well, we're still waiting for His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, to come on live. I think we hear he's still having one or two meetings behind closed doors. But while we're waiting for him, we still have here a lawyer, Daniel Bwala, who is a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. Daniel, you were talking about the alleged plans to, institute declare a state of emergency in Edo State.
I remember when the crisis in River State was so tense that every day report of people dying, gunshot here and there. It created a scenario that actually warranted for a declaration of state of emergency. But the president never bought into that trap. And if you look at his antecedent in the past how many years of his government, the president will be the last person to sanction state of emergency. You just send in enough security people to maintain law and order. So that line of argument of PDP cannot hold. And they know it. They know it because if you look at it historically, he has never done so. But they know that when they were in power, that is what they did. You remember they did in Darius case in Plateau State. They removed him. You remember in Bayelsa, they came and sat in a hotel and they removed the governor. They had that penchant. So everything they do or they did in the past, they are haunted by the fears that is going to come after them. But reverse is the case. And we do not want to buy into this propaganda narrative, because doing so would mean we'll be distracted from the fact, the main issue, which is the people of Edo and the kind of movement that we're generating in Edo, how that our candidate is being bought all over. And if you look at these two things, it will then tell you that the campaign council chairman of both political parties, what their strategies are.
I was going to come to that, but just let us clear this air, very well of the state of emergency. Like I said, the emergence of a new speaker seems a prelude to it, seems to be collaborating what the PDP is alleging here.
No, because few days ago or day before yesterday, he, by his hand, through the instrument he used, removed a deputy speaker illegally. You imagine if the day he did that impeachment, APC went into the street and created a chaotic situation. People will say APC talks are going into the city to obstruct legislative process. He did that illegal act without a proper constituted authority. But now that it is his own case, people are removing, he's trying to tell the whole world that that act is illegal and there is in fact a plan to create violence and consequently invite state of emergency. But let me tell you this. It is up to the governor, because the fact that the president has not declared a state of emergency does not mean that if the governor allow chaotic situation in the state to go beyond order, that will not warrant. Because the duty of government is the preservation of life and property. And the governor in every state is the chief executive and chief security officer of that state.
Our lives under threat right now with what is unfolding in Edo State.
Lives under threat?
Yeah.
The lives of the lawmakers, of the people?
Of the people.
For now, there is no record. There is no report that any innocent person going in the street has been shot, killed, or maimed, or harmed. It is just the ball players. And even the ball players, like the activities that took place today, from the news we have read, the news feeds, there is no reportage of one death, injury, or anything of sort, because the governor sent talks to take over the place. But if it was APC that sent in loyalists to do that, definitely there would have been a chaotic situation.
Why would you describe the PDP sympathizers as thugs and your own sympathizers as loyalists?
No,
those who, excuse me, those who invaded the Oba of Benin Palace when the governor visited, were they PDP APC loyalists?
The Oba of Palace Kingdom,
to have disrupted.
From what we heard, it is the tradition in Edo's kingdom. You know, Benin Kingdom is not a small kingdom. The tradition is that anytime a ceremony like that is being conducted, there is usually the presence of people to join and rejoice with the king. That is the Oba of Benin, which is what happened. From what I saw on live television was that day we heard the voices of people chanting songs against the popularity of the governor. We did not hear they killed somebody, they shot the governor, or they stoned the governor. So that is a fact reported by the media. And so they can't use that to change the narrative. And the second point is, the governor is the chief security officer of the state. Now, you don't call the people he sent to go and climb House of Assembly building as sympathizers. Sympathizers are innocent Nigerians who sit. If not because you're a journalist, I will classify you as a sympathizer because you are not an active ball player, but you can give your opinion. Now, but by virtue of your position, you are not permitted. So those who watch in their respective homes, Those who see from outside of the state, their feeling, their expression, and their opinion can now then be segmented or compartmentalized into whether they fall within this category of the sympathizers or those that are against him. But if he used agents, if he used people to go and create a crisis situation, these individuals will not and will never qualify as sympathizers. They are agent provocateur. So here is the issue. Because the governor knows he's losing, the governor, in my view, respectfully, is creating a situation where he thinks he will change the narrative. How many rallies has he had? How many meetings in fact, from what we read the other day, there was even confusion in their camp, where it was alleged that the deputy governor was saying he's not a serious person, he didn't bring money for campaign and the rest. Every day people are leaving him. He should address the people of Edo like he's going to have a world press conference. I expect the governor to trace the history. When you go to land registry, you want to buy land, there is what in law we call tracing it to the history. Let him go to when his government came into being. How was the state of the House of Assembly of that state? Why did he refuse to inaugurate the elected people? He does not elect people into House of Assembly. They were elected by their people. He should explain to the Nigerian people how he kept the population of these people represented out of government for the period of 1 year. Their voices could not be heard in the government because their representative could not sit. And their remunerations denied. And the threats to their lives, some of whom were sent out of that city. So this is how his press conference should start. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start from when our government constituted and then explain what happened there. Then he should tell the world, from that time and this moment, if an executive branch of government fails to have the majority of House of Assembly of the state, whether he can pass law, all these things he's calling laws, they can't stand the test of time in the court because there were no laws passed by regular, legitimate, and due process of law. Let him explain to the world. Let him also explain to the world executive act that he has carried, which requires assent, endorsement, or whatever legislative process by the House of Assembly of the state. In other words, in the past 1 year, the governor is running an illegal government. That is a fact. You can ask his people if they are lawyers. Let's look at the Constitution.
Why didn't your party go to court?
When he was doing that?
If he's running an illegal...
Yes, they went to court. The matter, yes. There are multiple cases in court.
He was doing that when he was in the APC. It was convenient then for the leadership.
It was not convenient. That was the beginning of the problem. The other time I was here, you raised a valid point when you said, when I raised the point that when he was in government, he couldn't bring development. But you see, he started from your government when he was in your party. And my answer was simple that day. That was the beginning of the problem. That was the beginning of the problem. He could not deliver. He was signing memorandum. I have not seen anywhere in a law where memorandum translate into development. He will hold meeting and gather ushers. After the event, they will register them as employment. I have not seen anywhere where that qualifies as employment generation in the state. Go to the streets of Edo. Go to the streets of Benin. Let him mention what he called development in the city. Then look at the people, the security. Does he even listen to security reports? These are the questions as a private indigent, as a private citizen of Nigeria, and a concerned citizen of Nigeria will raise. Okay, and so that was when the former national chairman began to engage with him. Remember our promise to the people of Edo. We have to deliver. He changed the narrative and made people seem as if the former national chairman was asking for him to bring money. I mean, in one of the videos he said, they said we should share money. Tell us what you shared before you got the ticket in PDP. Did you get it free? Didn't you hear Wicked? Their campaign council chairman called them tax collectors. Tax collectors do what? They go for fellowship? They collect tax. Tax in what? In fellowship? In money. Their campaign chairman, I'm not saying APC person said, I'm saying their campaign chairman called them tax collectors. So how did he, if you say the people are asking you to bring money and you will not bring money, you took money and you went and bought a ticket. Is that right? Is that proper? Is that legitimate? Is that lawful? Is that justifiable? Can you look at the World Press Conference? I'm interested in listening to what he called the World Press Conference and hear what he will say. And I will place a burden on the journalist. When I watch CNN and I see how people are fact-checking Donald Trump, I said, that's what I look forward to the journalists in Nigeria.
In two different environments that will operate.
No, but people have challenged Jonathan, have challenged Buhari on the road, in the street of New York and in Nigeria to answer questions. I expect that they ask him that question. When he says, these people want to take over my government, they want to impeach me, they will ask him, you ran 1 year government without constituting and inaugurating lawful elected members of the House of Assembly in Edo State. Were you running a good government? In the past 1 year, did the federal government intervene? When he left our party, did you hear that the president is malhandling him or haunting him? I am telling you the truth and I lie not. PDP is haunted by their past. And so anytime they reach any crossroad, they think that they are past. There is a proverb in Hausa. They say, me yang kanama, baya bari arike uya uka bayansa. Let me translate it. A butcher, is there a butcher? A butcher will never be comfortable seeing somebody with a knife or sword behind his back. That is my message to Kola Olobundoyo. And I look for, if you challenge the facts I'm bringing, bring Kola and bring me, let us speak facts to facts. PDP can no longer confuse Nigeria. And Daniel Bwala is not about political party. Because if you sit here and you say, what are the things you are not comfortable with about your party? I will talk to you. We've got past that stage where partisan team, you think all of my life to this point, it is partisan team that will carry me. But on the balance of probability, it is becoming clear like the noonday that the people of Edo are done with the governor. And his unpopularity is driving him to self-destruction by the way he is running the state. I respect the man till tomorrow morning, but I do not respect his actions. I honor him till tomorrow morning, but I don't honor those actions. And I place a demand on his lawyers to advise him properly. You can never, the law will never permit for you to promote violence in that state. If I am popular in a state, an election is coming. If it means me going on my knees to beg everybody to maintain peace, let us have the election. That is what I will do. But in the absence of that, he can even see a dog passing in front of his house. He will say it is charm that they send against him. That is what is happening. I won't be surprised if at the dying minute his deputy governor will say, I'm no longer doing it with you. Everybody is leaving him. Why are they leaving him? That is what we must hear him discuss in his World Press Conference. And by the way, what qualifies that as World Press Conference? Because he said it, I will want the camera people to show, apart from Nigerian journalists, which other journalist is there? Okay, maybe internet qualifies as a World Press Conference. Why? Where is he? They say he wants to address the World Conference. Where is he? Smoke him out. Let him talk to the Nigerian people. We need peace in Edo. If Ize-iyamu will lose the election, let him lose it. If Governor Obaseki will win, let him win it. Edo is one in how many states in Nigeria? Edo is a people that are educated. Go to the history of the country. In terms of culture, in terms of education, in terms of understanding, Edo is not behind. Why is the governor taking them back? I am not from Edo, but I'm not comfortable with what is happening there. My teachers, an Edo person taught me in Coventry University in the United Kingdom. Will he be happy to see this type of certificate problem governor creating that kind of scenario in that state? That is wrong. That is wrong. Posterity will judge us. Our children will rise and be taught about what we did in the past. If I were that governor, I will beg everybody to maintain peace because I believe I'm popular, I'll win. I will stop this idea of creating a crisis situation in a bid to blackmail the federal government, asking that the federal government... Anyway, another thing is that it may not even be Obaseki saying it, because Kola Olobundoyin has that in his blood.
All right, thanks very much, Daniel Bwala. We're going on another short break. When we return, we'll look at the campaign strategies and methodology by both parties. You're still watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead. Stay with us. You're welcome back to the Arise interview, and my name is Christian Ogdo. I still have Daniel Bwala here, a lawyer and an APC stalwart. Bwala, it's crisis that we've been talking of, you know, conflict of interest, the new speaker elected, old speaker impeached, the governor is facing such impending wrath. Let us look at real issues. What are the issues in Edo politics that the two external campaign leaders, Ganduje of Kano and Wike of River State, what are they bringing to the table?
Strategically, I think that both political parties relied on people from their parties that they believe have multifaceted gifts and approach to this election. Like I told you, that Edo is pivotal because Edo is was the only state that APC had in the Niger Delta before the governor defected. And so it is imperative that that mandate of APC in that state be recovered. And so APC, I don't know of their own strategy, propaganda may be one, but that of APC, the APC now relied on Governor Godwin Obaseki. If you look at the man, he is somebody who, even during this crisis of the former national chairman, remove him or not, you will never see him in the way. You will never see him involved in promoting, agitating, or even creating a crisis situation. In other words, he is a bridge builder. He is someone that can bring in two opposing minds for the purpose of achieving a common goal by first identifying the areas of agreement. So we can disagree to agree, we can agree to disagree, but first let us find the areas where we agree. And then by the time we begin to consolidate on that, we might find out eventually that our areas of disagreement is not necessary after all. So the APC now engaged him. Now, I look at it from the perspective that number one, he is governing the largest state in the north, Kano. And Kano, even politically, is one state that historically, until recent time, has never been with the majority, the government in center. They have their independent minds in the state. And then if you look at the history of Kano in terms of winning election, winning again election, consolidating and rest, he has this outstanding record from his days as deputy governor and to his days as governor, the current period as governor. Even before his days as deputy governor. So a bridge builder, a strategist, and number three, a man who believes in the project. And ever since Governor Ganduje took up the mantle of the campaign chair of the APC election in Edo, everything else changed in terms of the quality of people that they brought into the campaign council, into various committees and departments of the campaign council. He literally harvested brains for the job. So where you are very good at, rather than politicking and then taking maybe Christian Ogodo, he's very good in this area, but for political reasons they will be moving to another place because someone else is interested. No, he identified men of strength and placed them in their positions of strength. And you see all over the places, if you look at the campaign in that state, the way they hold their meetings, the strategy they adopt in terms of engaging with the populace. If you look at the way our own candidate is engaging with the people, even the people that say we don't like him, engaging with them in a bid to win them. It's not about threat. You will know that there is a witty knowledge and skills of the campaign chair. Now look at when they started this campaign Gandola thing in Edo. Remember when one thing was said, when he said we are going to quarantine Wike, you see Wike took months and months talking about the Ganduje, talking about the election, talking about APC. It's as if you trigger something small in him. But from when they put that bill to when they took it out, did you hear Ganduje say anything? That is strategy. That you do not allow the main issue. You do not allow a distraction from the main issue. You do not allow yourself to become the subject of a discourse that you are not a party to. You are not going to have a voting power. In fact, you will not be entitled to vote in that state. And so ordinarily, if he was not a strategist, he would have said, okay, let me engage with the man. Okay, let us go and get another billboard against the person. Let me say this in the media. Let me go after him in the media. Not a word from that day till today. And he was bamboozled several times by pressmen. And by so doing, he was able to allow our own candidate to engage with the people, took away drama, took away distraction, and enabled us to focus on issues. And the issues are clearly written. Simple. Every acronym has a meaning and related to what the governor is not doing in that state. Whether you look at infrastructure, whether you look at security, whether you look at manpower development, public-private partnership, employment, everything else you look at it. They are the things that the governor is not doing. That this man came up with the objective. If you give me your vote, this is what I hope we will achieve together.
And yet, the chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Edo State, Anselm Ujizwa, says his party does not have a governorship candidate.
Of course, you look at it from context. The chairman has always been with the governor. And there are some of the executive members, even they thought that the national chairman was going to remain. So what they did was that when he migrated to PDP, they left some of the executive people, especially the chairman that was purported to have suspended Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, to stay back so he will engage them with trouble. Now, Adams Oshiomhole today is not in the national chairman position. So they don't have an issue. They use their entire period to build up a campaign against him. Meanwhile, they are running against Pastor Ize-iyamu. And now that he's no longer there is nobody to fight again. Then they now all reverted to House of Assembly of a state to create problem.
I think the kind of instruments being deployed into the Edo politics leaves,
Much to be desired.
much to be desired. If you remember, only 9 members of the ward in Oshiomole's ward out of about 24 impeached him.
Can you imagine?
And that led to his
you're
removal
very correct.
at the national level,
which is an illegal impeachment.
So
that is the antecedent of the governor.
Too much illegality even within the APC.
No, but it was the
members
governor. It was
within
the governor.
Bwala gets it.
Right.
Within the APC, the governor was once a party member.
So I will respond to that. It's very simple.
Okay.
The governor had already expressed the fear that he may not get the ticket long ago. And then he began this strategic move.
And of course, hurdles were placed on him.
Like how?
Hurdles of certificate, no certificate.
Is that a hurdle?
But
is the certificate a hurdle?
The institutions,
whose flag is
the institutions have cleared him now.
Which institution?
NYSC,
what are the procedure for clearing someone?
NYSC gave him his correct certificate. That was where...
So it is no longer the problem of the body that disqualified him for the wrong certificate.
Okay, let's even...
But they've always mentioned NYSC. NYSC is not the issue. And remember, in law, you can correct some of these anomalies by affidavit.
Straight
but
affidavit.
What you cannot correct is when you say, I went to a particular institution and you're producing a certificate without letterhead, the year you claim to have graduated now conflict with the year you claim to have graduated, consequently in the university. Those ones, there is no affidavit that can change it.
Okay, let's quickly look at these strategies from Edo politics, getting two titans from far-flung states to come and run the campaigns of the two political parties. Some people think it's a prelude to the presidential elections in 2023.
Oh, right, as in the campaign chairmen are probably interested in 2023.
Absolutely, a kind of prelude. Let's test the waters. Let's see our oratory skills and the rest, our campaign strategies.
Right. So I haven't thought about that, quite frankly, but I would respond by saying that I do not think either of these campaign chairmen has a plan, or there is even a rumor they are running for presidential election in 2023. I would rather think that political parties relied on their strongest in the party. You know that in PDP, if you take away Governor Wike in PDP, there is no PDP apart from Atiku. Atiku actually is above Governor Wike in terms of gathering people. But for the project that Edo PDP wants, they felt that Governor Wike has this militancy approach. That's what they are thinking. Because they felt that he did that in his state and he consolidated himself and nothing happened, heavens didn't fall and all that. That's a poor strategy. In contrast, look at the antecedents, the activities, and the utterances of the governor of Kano. You will see decency, you will see honor, you will see respect, and you see procedure.
All right, Barrister Daniel Bwala is a lawyer and a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress. Thanks very much for joining us on the Arise interview. Well, we'll still expect that the governor would come up with his press conference. This program has come to an end, and we'll be having the governor in our other bulletins. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Do remember to join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thanks for watching.